we're going to get started. I believe that I want to just tie this in a little bit. As a brand, I wanted to go beyond skincare and grooming, and I believe men's health and wellness is just as important. So that's why we are here today for the prostate awareness panel. And like I said, thank you guys. Welcome to the panel. And let's get started. I'm going to start with Dr. Corey Hébert, and we are going to talk about what actually is prostate and where is it located and why it's important for men to get prostate. We're just going to jump right into it.
Well, that's what we need to do. Just jump right into it, because the reality is that we as African-American men, we like to jump away from it. That's our problem, and it's not just prostate, it's every health issue, mental health, physical health, any kind of health. We are just programmed to feel like we just don't need the help, and we're scared, right? And we have to deal with that reality of being scared. And we don't like to do that as Black men, because once we show any sense that we're scared, we feel like our manhood is being taken. So the first thing is that, what is the prostate gland? The prostate gland is a gland. It's like a donut-shaped gland that sits at the base of the penis, between the penis and the testicles. And basically what it is, it kind of encircles the urethra, which is where the pee comes out, right? And where other stuff comes out too. And so what happens is that as you age, this gland gets swollen, okay? And as the gland gets swollen, then, and please bear with my audio visuals here, as the gland gets swollen, this is your urethra, and the gland starts to squeeze the urethra so the pee can't come through, okay? So like I said, don't feel gross because I'm doing this, all right? And then when that happens, then you have an issue with having urination. That's called benign prostatic hypertrophy, or BPH. Once that thing gets swollen, then you can't pee. So you'll notice that you have difficulty in urinating. So you'll pee, and then you'll have to pee some more, and then you got to push your stream out. That's the first thing. The second thing is that obviously when this becomes inflamed, it can be cancerous. Now, we're going to take you a little bit deeper here, because any hormone unopposed on an organ can cause cancer. Breast cancer, when women have a lot of estrogen, it can cause cancer. Men with more testosterone, unopposed on that organ, the prostate, causes cancer. Black men have higher testosterone than white men, okay? So, and that's probably because in the brain, I'm gonna take you one step further, in the brain, there's something called the pro-opiomelanocortin complex, and right in that area is where you have the melanin being made, as well as the testosterone being made. Okay? So point is that once you get to that point and you have the cancer, then you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. And then there are several things that you can do to modulate this, whether we do an aggressive prostatectomy, or we do radiation, or we give medicine, or all types of things we can do, because it's not necessarily always an aggressive cancer. Sometimes we watch and wait based on the age, but the gland is there. You must get it taken care of. You have to get it checked out. You have to do everything you can do, because the worst thing that could ever happen is that you have to go through something extra. And in life, we have enough stress. COVID-19, losing a damn Supreme Court justice. We got enough stuff going on for us to not have to worry about these types of things. So, but that's the medical part. So I'll defer back to the panel, so Cole, we can move things forward.
Okay, thank you for that. That was very informative. This next question is for Dolvett Quince. So my question to you is, you're a fitness trainer and you deal with a lot of men and women. Have you ever had a situation where you had a client or someone that you were training, or that either suffered from prostate or couldn't do an exercise or fulfill the routine of what to do as far as their health and fitness, that stopped them from doing the exercise? And if that's so, what exercise do you recommend for someone that is dealing with prostate cancer? Or that's another part question. Just go ahead and answer that. I'm sorry.
No, I think in my 20+ year career, I haven't had anyone who directly had prostate cancer from a client perspective. However, my father had prostate, and he passed away with prostate cancer. I don't know if it was a root cause, but I do know there was one of the symptoms that he had. And I think it goes a lot towards what Dr. Hébert was saying in reference to the fear that's attached, especially during that generation. I'm strong. I don't need to go to the doctor. I got to be sick in order to go to the doctor, right? You just don't go because you have a cough. You don't go because you feel like
Tussin on it.
right. Put some tussin on it. Just put some tussin on it. And you good. Spray some Windex on that thing. It's a sad situation. I feel that things get so far to the point where people are unhealthy that they're at the last straw before they go to the doctor. There's not enough conversations and doing preventative medicine, preventative action towards your overall health, i.e. working out, eating right, taking care of your gut health, taking care of your internal habits, if you will. I think all of those habits will reduce the likelihood of prostate cancer, but it's definitely a conversation that we should have. It's definitely one that we should bring to light. Even hearing the doctor talk now, I have so many questions, like at what age does people, do men should be cautious of it? Is it in your 40s? Is it in your late 30s? At what point do you start having to pay attention to that sort of thing where there are changes coming?
Thank you. We'll get back to that because that is one of the panel questions, and I have a lot of questions as well. And this next question will be for Brian Custer, who is basically our survivor of prostate cancer. And I want to ask you, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you were told about your diagnosis?
Well, I think, to answer the other panelist's question, I think, listen, if you're 40 and you're a Black male or a person of color, you should get a PSA done. That's the basic bottom line if you're 40. If you've got a history of prostate cancer in your family, whether it be your father, your uncle, son, what have you, I would recommend that you probably get tested, have a PSA done at 35. That's, just me. For myself, when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, always a very healthy guy, take martial arts, martial artist, work out about, 5-6 times a week. I was the exception. I go get a physical every year. And so when I got diagnosed, I was 42, and it was the biggest shock of my life. It's hard to describe when you walk into your doctor's office and he sits you down and says, listen, I'm just going to tell it to you straight. There's no easy way to tell you this. You've got cancer. It's aggressive. It's not fucking around. And we need to do something immediately. And it was almost like an out-of-body experience. It was almost as if he was talking to me, but I was on the other side of the room watching him talk to me, because, literally you could have knocked me over with a feather when he told me that. And really the only thing that snapped me back was I just remember him giving me tissues and holding my hand, like saying, it's going to be okay. I didn't even realize that I was crying. So it's hard to describe, to answer your question, when someone gives you that news. It's life-changing.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to you as far as the question, so extend it a little bit more. So we mentioned about, this was going to be a question for Dr. Hébert as well. What age do you recommend? And you mentioned 35 if you have a history of prostate, but seeing that 42 is extremely young. So, and it was aggressive. So at that point, do you believe or feel if someone had mentored you through getting exams, self-checks early on, that was something that could have been preventative or you could have got ahead of?
Well, I think, as Doc will probably point out to you, there's a number of factors that reason why you can come down with prostate cancer. A lot of it has to do, it can be hereditary. Again, if the son, father, uncle, if you got history in your family, you should get checked. And I would do it at 35, 40 at the latest. For me, it was different, only for the simple fact, and a lot of times, as doctor's going to tell you, your father is your baseline. That's really if dad's got it, you better believe you better be getting checked. Mm-hmm. But for me, my natural father died 4 months before I was born in a car accident. So I had no baseline for that. And for me, it was a regular check. Thank goodness that I went every year and got checked out. But because if I hadn't, I would have probably just dropped dead somewhere, never knowing that I had prostate cancer. But as Doc, my surgeon who had surgery on me, told me, listen, as I told him, my father had passed away. How am I supposed to know I had it? And his question to me was, well, who else in your family has prostate cancer? I said, no one. And he said, wow, does anybody in your family have cancer? I said, well, when you talk about my uncles, who were my father's brothers, one died of lung cancer. The other one died of throat cancer. The other one died of bone cancer. And I said, but those were like self-inflicted. I mean, they were all smokers. I'm not a smoker. I didn't. And he said, but what's the common denominator? The common denominator is cancer. So in other words, that cancer gene is in the family. It just so happened, unfortunately, you pulled the prostate cancer card. They pulled the other. They pulled the bone cancer. He pulled the lung cancer. He pulled the throat cancer. Unfortunately, I pulled the prostate cancer card.
All right. So thank you for that, Dr. Hébert. So what age would you recommend men should absolutely get their first check, regardless if they have a history of cancer or one that has a history of cancer in their family and one that does not? Like, what would you recommend?
So, there's a lot of controversy about all of these things right now when you start talking about cancer and screening. Different people, different types of people, different races, we all are very different. So, when you start talking about when you should be evaluated, I tend to think, and always say this all over the airwaves, that you need to be more safe than sorry. They've even told women, it's not necessary to do your self-breast exams anymore. It's too late, when you get your mammograms later, all these types of things. But that's only because of the insurance and the money involved. Okay, let's be very clear about that. Because what happens is they say it's a waste of a test to get a 20-year-old tested for prostate cancer. But there has been a 20-year-old diagnosed with prostate cancer before. You understand what I'm saying? It's not something that's very common. So when you start talking about the medical group, we talk about statistics and body of work. But if it happens to you, it's 100%, right? So we have to really think about what that means. So I'm going to read you the American Cancer Society recommendations. So you always remember 40, 45, and 50, okay? Now, the American Cancer Society says at 40, that's when you should get your screening, and those with more than one first-degree relative who had prostate cancer at an early age. They don't say any other kind of cancer. They just say, if you had a first-degree relative who had prostate cancer at an early age. They didn't even say the age. So that means your dad, your uncle, okay? First-degree relative, okay? Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, because if your dad had prostate cancer, you really shouldn't be waiting until 40. But the issue is the medical side of this says that the odds of you having it at 35 are so low, that's a waste of a test, a waste of resources. But once again, if it happens to you, it's 100%, right? So age 45, men at high risk of developing prostate cancer. This is African Americans and men who have a first-degree relative, father or brother, diagnosed with prostate at an early age, younger than 65, okay? So that is high risk. And then average risk, you should get checked at 50. Okay, that's people who are expected prostate cancer, average risk of prostate cancer, and are expected to live at least 10 more years. Now they throw that in there because if you're 80, okay, and they're like, you don't even need to get screened anymore because the odds are you won't live 10 more years. See, all these things are very barbaric when you start mentioning them in an open forum. It's not a bunch of doctors, because just me reading that sounds ridiculous. Okay, so what I would say as a Black man, okay, at all costs, 40 years old is the latest you need to actually wait. 40 years old. If you have the money, because see, the issue is you can get screened anytime you want to. Your insurance is not going to pay for it. But you down at the club drinking Crown Royal all night, you need to, at 35, pay for that PSA. You understand what I'm saying? You know, just like that's what you need to be doing, because everything has a certain amount of currency, okay?
Yeah.
So a PSA is easy, but I do want to go one step further here. You know. Yeah. Okay.
Digital rectal exam. Digital rectal exam. It comes with it.
Look, and I'm gonna be gross here because I need people to understand this. You are a grown man, and you have had feces much bigger than your finger on a daily basis, and it doesn't hurt because you know what's coming out. And you're in control of it.
It's not going in.
But you're in control of that. Now you don't get a witness on me, Cole. Don't get a witness about this. We're talking about men.
I'm devil's advocate right now.
Okay, devil. Okay, devil's advocate. Dolvett done turned around. He can't.
He done turned around. He's like, I don't even want to be a part of this talk. Turn back around, Dolvett. Keep that quiet.
And the next
don't be shy, Dolvett.
You need to get used to it.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay.
But seriously, this is something that is really, it's a big issue, because what we've also said is that that's not a really good quote unquote I don't want to say reliable. It's not a test to say if that would be the only screening test. Okay, meaning that you could put your finger up there and feel a prostate that's swollen and it's not cancer, and you could also put your finger up there and not be swollen at all and have cancer. Okay, that's the truth. But what you got to remember is that as a Black man, the odds are in your lifetime, you're probably going to get this. So you need to get both things done, because what if the PSA is not very high and you don't do a digital rectal exam and then come to find out the cancer is bad? If you have both of those things going against you, then you could be a lot more aggressive about the treatment. So we have to come to grips with the fact that we just can't be scared of these things. It's not, look guys, it's not going to hurt. It's just anything, shots don't feel good, but you have to get them, right? Except the coronavirus vaccine that's coming out before November 3rd. Don't get that one, okay? After November 3rd, get it. Before November 3rd, no. That's a whole nother situation. So, but literally, just remember, you have everything at your disposal to keep yourself alive. Don't be scared of the finger.
Hey, Cole, can I just say one thing? Because, Doc, you preaching that gospel. And I'm just going to say this. I first of all, I'll say it's so important to listen to everything he's saying, for the simple fact that I think numbers, and he can spout these off. I think it was like 1 in 9 of us are going to come down with prostate cancer. It may be even now like 1 in 7 of us. That's how rapid that it's coming. I know we're like 76% more likely to get prostate cancer. We're twice as more likely to die from it. That's why this is important. But what he said was so key. One of the only reasons why I knew that I had prostate cancer was I was trying to get some of my work colleagues at the sports network where I worked at. Our network had a free health fair every year. And I had some brothers who worked with me who never went to the doctor. So it was my goal to try to get them to go to the doctor. So I said, look, they got a health fair and they're giving it to us. It's free. And there's 4 of them had never gone. I said, you know what? We're going to go as a group. I already have my regular exam, but I want us to go as a group because I got to get y'all brothers healthy. And so that was like the big thing. And as we read the email, we said, okay, we're going to go over there and we all going to go get this exam. They're going to take our blood work. They're going to weigh us, da-da-da-da-da. And it went on, and one of my boys looked at it and said, oh man, they also doing free prostate exams. Go to what Doc talked about. I had no idea what my prostate was. Didn't even know what it was. And this was when I was 40. And I said, okay, well, we'll get that done too. The first thing my boy said to me was, yo, man, that's gay. We ain't doing that. No way. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, don't you know what they do when you have a PSA, a prostate exam? I was like, I guess check you out. He said, No, man, he sticks his finger up your butt. You like that? You down like that? And they thought it was funny and was serious. Like, hey, I'll go get the health check out, but we ain't gonna do the PSA stuff. And I looked at him, I said, well, look, as long as it's all free, let's just all go. And we all went. But it's a true story. They were really about, at first, we'll go get the health and I'll get the physical exam, but I'm not gonna let them do the PSA and the digital rectal exam. I'm not down with that. And that's the shame of it with some of us in our community that we actually think like that.
Well, that's why I felt like it's so important for this panel. And I know it's a little, I didn't know how open you guys would be because I'm a woman, speaking of prostate, but I feel like it softens it a little bit from a woman's perspective to even care about something like that other than breast cancer, because that is similar to a breast cancer, prostate cancer for a man. So, and I had an uncle that was diagnosed with prostate, and his lack of knowledge about it just baffled me. And and it's one of the things that Black people, we don't really deal with health issues up front. We don't get proactive, we are reactive in the situation. So this next question is for Dolvett. Personally, with prostate cancer, when was your first exam, and walk and
that video.
Right. Look, he going back to fishing that side like he ain't listening.
But this is the thing, guys, and I hate to put you on Front Street like that because we talked about it, but the reason being is because you do fitness and personal development, and this is a subject that men will lift weights, they'll start eating right, but when it comes to self-check and self-help, they do not take the initiative to do such. So with that being said, give a short story in addition to how would you encourage some of your clients to get a prostate exam very soon, more than later?
I was hearing Brian talk, and I was hearing his story. And first of all, Brian, congratulations to you for being a cancer survivor.
Thank you.
First and foremost, and doing the proper steps. I spoke about how my father passed away with cancer, but it was my adopted father, so it's not my direct bloodline, which is still no excuse. And I'm listening to both the doc and Brian speak, and I'm saying to myself, what's pretty common? Guys like me, guys like any of us, right, are on this panel, or some of the guys in the room. I see one of my friends is here in the room as well. And he's 50 of age, father of 2. And when you're healthy, when you're eating right, when you're working out, when you feel good, just from a habitual perspective, you're just thinking about your financial growth, your family happiness, your spiritual growth, your mental. You're not, I'm good. Brother, have you seen these muscles? Have you seen, I'm good. Like, that's the mentality. We don't think about what's happening inside. And I'm guilty of that. With all that said, it is probably the one thing I haven't done. I haven't got a PSA, and I know my girlfriend's gonna make sure that I do now that she's hearing this, right? But we go 100%. Like, she's listening, and it's one of those things where, listen, I'm not jaded. I'm very confident who I am as a man. The whole thing, I will go pursue the highest optimal health period for myself. That's not the issue. It's not a mental block or a concern by any means. It's just something on my list, in all honesty, that I haven't got to. I'm on this panel. I'm on this panel for a reason. I'm speaking to men about making sure that we take care of ourselves at all levels. I'm speaking about being fearless when it comes to preventative things in order to make sure that you're the best version of yourself. It's not just about muscles. It's not about looks. That said, I'm setting an appointment for Monday.
Nice.
Thank you.
Like to hear that.
Yay.
Make it happen. Make it happen, brother.
I'll be 100%. I'll be that.
I love it.
And that's what, so just as an entirety, that's the issue. Like you said earlier, Brian, that most Black men, that's gay, I'm not doing that, this, that, and the other. Dr. Hébert and I were talking about milking and therapy and so forth. We'll get into that later.
I'm sorry, what did you just say? What? One of
Um,
my friends are on here now. He literally said to me, "Yo, bro, this is so important." He is to me what Brian was to his friends, because he gets it checks regularly. For we're about the same age. I'm a lot younger than him. I'm joking. Um, but he said he's on here right now. I wish you could chime in, but that's neither here nor there. But go ahead, Cole.
but so what I'm saying is that, and I don't know why it's a passion for me to take care of men, especially Black men, from the skincare line to go beyond that and speak about health and fitness, because maybe I had a surround of soldier of men that protected me and uplifted me and supported me both financially and physically and all of that. So I have so many men that are important in my life, and male friends, Dolvett being one of them. And now I have new friends, Brian and Dr. Corey Hébert, and James as well, that's on there. So I'm really concerned about, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, it has to matter for us as well.
Yes.
As Black people, as Black women, even as a Black woman or whatever woman, if you're a woman and you have a Black man in your life, you need to encourage him to self-check, eat right, do fitness, like you said, muscles, and the physical looks good, but people drop dead when they're basically fit.
Well, listen.
Yeah.
And I certainly am not going to get up here and say that I've done everything right, because, listen, we went to that health fair, and at the time, I was 40 when we went, and they did the health fair every year, and so my goal was just to get them to go get checked out. Now, when we went that first time, and we went and got the physical exam, and then he did the PSA, and the doc there at the station at NBC at the time and said, "Listen, we'll mail your results to you." And doc will know this. I think one of the reasons that your personal physician, when they mess up, is generally what they'll say is, "Hey, we're going to take your blood, do the PSA, we'll get your results. If it's 4 or higher, we need to talk. Anything under a 4, you're okay." And so that's all I heard. That's all I heard. And when I got my first results back in the mail, it said 2.4.
Okay.
So I thought, I'm good. I'm good. But you gotta think, if you're 40, and doc could tell you this, and you pump it out whole numbers like that, that should raise a red alarm. Because if I was at 2.4 at 40, I'm right there at 4. You should be really pumping out a point something, a 0, whatever. Those are the kind of numbers. You shouldn't even be pumping out a whole number when you have a PSA, generally.
This is my next question, and I'm glad you said that.
Generally, it should be a 0.0, whatever, what have. If you start getting in whole numbers and you just 40, that should raise a red alarm. But a lot of times physicians will say, anything under a 4, you're okay. If it's over a 4, we got to talk. The next year, I went and had my regular exam. I went to my regular doctor. He said, "Hey, I don't think we've done a PSA." I said, "Oh, you know what? I had a health fair at the job." "Good, doc. We don't need to do that." I didn't want him sticking his finger up my butt. I was like, "We good, doc. We good. I'm good. I don't need it." He was like, "You did?" "Yeah, I got the results back. I was really good. I pumped a real low number." He was like, "Okay." Following year, now I'm 42. We as a group, my fellow is like, "Yo, we going to that health fair again?" I say, "Okay, yeah, we can go do it again." We went. There was the same doctor there. He was like, "Oh, hey, you guys are back, whatever." We did it. He said the same thing. If it's a 4 or higher, we need to talk, or go talk to your doctor. If it's anything under a 4, you're great. Got the results back. It was a 5.2.
Oh my God.
So in a year's time, it went from a 2.4 to a 5.2. That's what can happen if you skip a year.
Yeah, let me tell you
open this up for you really quick, Dr. Hébert, because it's really on that. So why is this the reason why Black men are dying at a high risk of low-grade prostate cancer, because of the numbers?
Okay, well, a couple of things here, okay? You got to remember, there are bad people in every walk of life, every profession. When I say bad, I don't mean they're actually bad in who they are. I mean, just they're bad in their profession. You have a sanitation worker that picks up your trash. One of them picks it up, puts your garbage can right back on your driveway. The other one throws the damn garbage can in the middle of the road, right? Everybody's got that. Same thing with being a doctor. So the first thing I want to mention about this is if you can't talk to your doctor or your doctor kind of shoos you off, you know, you're paying for that. I don't care whether it's your insurance, I don't care whether you have Medicaid, you're paying for that. That is a service, which means if you go to Macy's and buy a shirt and the shirt falls apart, then you're not going back to Macy's and you want your money back, okay? So if you have a doctor right now that you can't trust, you can't talk to, you need to change the doctor. Boom, that's the first thing. Second thing is that doctors, we tend to do things by the masses, okay? The way I had to start practicing medicine 10 years ago was much different than the first 15 years because 15 years ago, there was no internet really, right? I mean, seriously, where people would could go on their phone and use it, right? So you come to my office and then you say, hey, ask me a question. I tell you the answer, but you have to believe me because where you gonna go to the medical library and look it up? Where you gonna go to your encyclopedia at home? You know what I'm saying? I mean, seriously, you know, there's no way for you to know. So right now, in this day and age of you have all the information that I have in the palm of your hand. There's no reason for anybody to say, I don't know to anything. I was actually in Colorado 2 weeks ago talking to some dudes about copper smelting. It just came up at the dinner table. I don't know anything about copper smelting. I went to the bathroom, Googled copper smelting, came back out. I knew more about copper smelting than any of them knew because you can't say, I don't know anymore. Okay? So the point is about prostate cancer, you can't just say, I don't know. So Google everything. And if your doctor kind of says, 2.5, the American Cancer Society says at 2.5, you need to kind of start looking at it because it needs to be less than 4. But if you're 2.5, really it should be like Brian said, it's supposed to be less than 1, less than 0.9. It's not supposed to be at all.
Doc, I think part of the issue though is that lack of education. You know,
Sure.
by the way, Brian just admitted he was 40 years old, but he even knew what a damn prostate was. That's why I'm so grateful for Cole for having this conversation with us and everyone else in the room, because a lot of people don't know. This should truly be on Fox or CNN right now. It should be a dialogue educating the masses. Not only just education, because education is one thing. It's easy to say it. Actually doing it is the issue, right? It's almost as if the language has to become work out, check your prostate, eat right, right? It has to be in the list of check marks that we do just as Black men, just as men in general. How do you make it the right thing to do? Athletes aren't talking about this right now. We lean on them, those celebrities, to be our guide of what cool is, right? Rappers aren't talking about this stuff, and we lean on them to be the guide on what cool is. How do you make something like this, obviously is necessary, but how do you make it cool?
Well, Dolvett, I'm gonna tell you this. This is the crazy part. I brought this to the NBA to get a program called Time to Get Checked, right? But they were so busy having all these Black men wear pink for breast cancer, okay? Because that's just marketing. Don't get me wrong, breast cancer is very important. Yep. But Black men are on the field, okay? We need to talk about that. But they didn't want to do it because it's marketing. But I'm gonna go all the way back to this because there are a couple of things, all right, that we must do as Black men. We need to talk about this. We need to wear our color, you know, for our prostate cancer. We need to discuss it with our friends. We need to, when we're drinking our little scotch, what we're doing, we need to talk about it. But there are some things that I don't want to miss here that can actually decrease your risk. And some things will make the BPH test, the PSA test abnormal. Meaning, like, if you ride a bike, okay? If you ride a bike all the time, it can artificially raise your PSA, okay? There are a lot of things they can do. It's prostatitis, like if you actually had gonorrhea, okay? Then that can cause prostatitis, and that can raise it. So what would happen is that there are a lot of things that you just need to know. And if you just go to the American Cancer Society website, you can find out all this information. And I'm gonna even take you one step further. Cole, I appreciate you doing this, but I need your help. I need your help. Now, maybe personally we can talk offline, but men need to ejaculate every day. Every day.
Doc, you trying to holler at Cole right now? What's going on?
I think you did.
I think he
We had a
did.
conversation before this, Dolvett. We had a conversation before this.
You got my face beat red.
Good, good, good.
Well,
No, but seriously, you know, you have to, because what happens is the more you ejaculate, right, the lower your testosterone levels. When you have testosterone levels that are high, opposed on that unopposed rather on that organ, that breeds prostate cancer. So Dolvett, your girlfriend's listening.
Wait, stop. You're breaking up. Say that again.
Okay.
You said, wait. Did you just say that the more you ejaculate, it reduces your testosterone level?
Yes. Yes. Now.
Okay, because you were breaking up. I wasn't clear. Okay.
But see, you gotta remember this, okay? Remember this. We don't want our testosterone to be not there. We just don't want our testosterone to be very high.
Exactly.
Okay? So, because we need testosterone. We need testosterone. That's a good thing. But unopposed testosterone on an organ causes a derangement and a mutation in that organ. That's why women with high levels of estrogen have an increased level of breast cancer. Same thing with men with prostate cancer, okay? So what I'm saying to you is every day your pipes need to be empty by you, all friend.
Oh, so doing it every day is a good thing. I misheard you. I thought you said if you do it too
you
much.
have to release it. You have, look, so basically if you don't release it, because men, the way that you guys are built and made, you guys have these things going on and you need to release that tension. A lot of men work out. So my question to everybody as a fitness trainer, as a survivor, and as a doctor, when a man works out a lot, that increases his testosterone, right?
Facts.
So
Yes.
do you think or believe that it's more likely for a man that do extraneous workout, weight lifts, like hardcore, be prone to prostate cancer more than someone that's less physical? Because I'm looking at Brian, he said he was in shape. He was, all of that.
The data doesn't show that. We haven't seen that. That we actually, the more fit you are, your decreased risk of all cancers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Another question.
You could be overweight and that could increase your chances to getting prostate cancer. So yeah, I certainly don't want to.
Increases a lot malfunction in the body.
Exactly. And listen, that's probably why a lot of these guys like Doc and Dolvett, they don't have any prostate cancer. They single man. Look, they getting a lot of action. Once you become married, you ain't getting no action. So
I'm good. My girl's on here, bro. You tripping? I'm good. Like that. I'm glad y'all said you got to do it every day because she's listening. I've been trying to see.
So I can say that my wife is like upstairs in another room. That's how I came down with it. I wasn't getting no action.
Dolvett, you can give me my $20 after.
Bruh, I appreciate you. Listen. I'm still bugging off of you hollering that call on the live panel.
Right, on the live Zoom like that.
Oh, look.
Yeah, so Nicole, listen, baby girl. I'm done.
So during my research for the last several years on this prostate cancer thing, and you're right, when I reached out to my NFL connects, my NBA connects, and wanted them to join the panel and they said they would do it, but they didn't initiate it. And I'm like, so why isn't this important? Like you said, they'll have the cleats for breast cancer awareness. But when I was doing my research, which was I was a little bothered because I noticed that there was not a lot of support or information on prostate cancer like it is breast cancer. And when I started doing the correlation, breast cancer is for women, like you said, estrogen, and for men, it's the same thing. So if you have prostate going on, that messes with your ego, your manhood, everything. It is kind of, and when a woman gets breast cancer or deals with breast cancer, to have her breast removed, you don't feel like a woman, you feel less feminine, you don't feel beautiful. So you guys hold your proud in your groin area, and we in our upper and also, our whole body. But it baffled me. And as a fitness trainer or as a celebrity, you're really like interested in this, and you're like, wow, this is so profound. But do you know or see any of your clients or celebrity friends that you would encourage or take them with you, or be like, okay, man, this is some serious ish. We have to get it together, or a community to build, like you said,
yeah,
fitness, diet, prostate exam, self check.
I think now that I'm on this panel, and again, I can't thank you enough for doing this. And now that I know, right, and I'm meeting a survivor, I'm meeting a doctor, you and I have been friends for years. I think that now more than anything, I said I'm going to set an appointment for Monday. This coming week, I think I'm going to take it upon myself. I'm going to put it out on my platform, and I'm going to call out friends who are celebrity types to help them bring this issue, and I don't call it an issue, but it's a concern of, you know, our health and optimizing our bodies and our overall health at the highest level. So yeah, I'm going to take it upon myself, like literally record me going into the doctor saying, this is what I'm doing, this is why I'm doing it, because there has to be, how healthy you are trumps shame, right? It's like your shame, like what do you care more about? I don't want people to, or I want to be the best version of me I can be, you know? And I think we have to, especially as Black men, kind of put some of our insecurities aside and deal with stuff that is, that needs to be dealt with. Sure, we're strong. Sure, we have a lot that we're fighting for. And, but I don't know about you, if I can have one less thing I'm fighting for, I'm living in a better world.
Yes.
It's a great point. That's a great point. I will say this: Susan G. Komen has done a phenomenal job of marketing. They've done a tremendous job of raising money, and they have done a great job of making the perception of, even for people, and don't take what I'm about to say wrong, people who've come down with breast cancer with a badge of honor. They've kind of changed the stigma. We haven't done that with prostate. Haven't done a great job with prostate cancer yet in that. And they are so powerful that, as you point out, the NFL, the NBA, absolutely, they're going to celebrate that for men. And hey, let's get blue. Let's make sure September is, well, we've got the Susan G. Komen, we've got breast cancer. Well, I'm sorry, prostate cancer is #2 killer right now in the country.
Yes.
I think one of the ways, not to cut you off, B, but I think one of the ways to do it maybe is for men to go into the doctor with their wives, with their girlfriends, you know, you get your mammogram, I'm going to go get, you know what I'm saying? And sort of make it a family thing. You know, listen, we all want to be cancer free as a family, as couples, as who we are. You know, I think that could sort of break the ice and the stigma of what's normal. Oh, it's normal for, me and my girl do this all the time, sort of a thing, right?
You're right.
My girlfriend said to me, babe, we're going to do a colonic. And we did it together. I was like, okay. And I did it. Yeah, I had that face, Doc. That's the same face I'm making. But yeah, that's okay. There it is. But I did it. And I just think it's very important that couples and people, I mean, couples in general, sort of make it the norm. I think that's the way to break the ice, is my point. Go ahead, B. I cut you off.
I was just going to say, I just think that it is so important for guys like Dolvett, guys like Doc and myself to use our platform, and, you know, obviously what's going on in our country and our world, to use out and speak out on what's going on with our people. Very important. But it's also important for this. And I'll be honest with you, you know, when I got diagnosed, and I'm happy that we got people like Doc here on the panel. When the doctor who did my surgery, he said, listen, you're going to be fine. I know that, because I asked him, I said, initially, and Doc knows this, when I had all my biopsy and all that stuff, my Gleason score was a 9. I mean, it was high. It was very aggressive. And a lot of that has
to the people what a Gleason score is, Brian.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
That was going to, as Doc will point out, that is how cancer is measured on a Gleason scale, and like from like 1 to 10. And as closer you get to 10 is the severe your cancer. So when I had my biopsy and they got my specimens back, they took 12 specimens out of me for the biopsy. And you want to think the digital rectal exam is bad. When you have a biopsy for prostate cancer, ain't nothing worse in the world than having that bad boy done. The needle getting stuck up there and it ain't cool. But my results came out of the 12 specimens that came back. 8 of them were cancerous. aggressive. My Gleason score was a 9 out of 10. So yeah, it was so bad. He said, look, we got to get you in surgery like now. And I said, whoa, man, I didn't play sports and this and that. I've never had surgery. So can we do something else, try something? He said, okay, we can try. But yours is so aggressive that if radiation doesn't get everything, I'm going to be honest with you. The only thing I'll probably be able to do is make you comfortable after that, if we don't get it all with radiation. And so he said, the best route for you is surgery. And I said, okay, well, what if I don't do anything and let's just see what we can do here, let it ride for a look. And he said, you probably be dead in a year or two. And I was just like, oh, you know, I mean, that was like, I was done then. But my point of all of that was right before I was going to get surgery, he sat me down in his office and he said, Brian, you're going to be okay, because I feel like I'm the best doctor in the world and I'm going to do it and I'm going to take care of your nerves down there and everything's going to be great. But I'm going to need you to do one thing for me. I'm going to need you to help me be a spokesman to get Black men checked. And I'm going to need you to use your platform. And I said, Doc, I love you. I ain't telling nobody I got this. I'm 40, just turned 42. You trying to tell me that I'm supposed to tell people, they're going to say, oh, prostate, oh man, this guy, he's probably going to have incontinence. He's probably going to be sterile. He's probably going to, I wasn't trying to hear, he's going to have erectile dysfunction. I wasn't trying to have nobody know that. No, and I was like, and I don't want the network to know that I got it. I don't want, you know, what happened? Maybe no one wants to hire me after this. And he said, I need you. Your platform's too big. You could make such a difference for me, because I could do it, because he was Indian. He said, I can do it, but from a Black male, it'll have more power if you do it. And so like you just talked about, Dolvett, I had to come home. I had to talk it over with my wife. And she said, you better go out and there do it. Right. You need to help people. You always talk about is about helping our people.
I'm a big fan of the pool shark. Big fan.
Right. So that's why every time I go, and you know, listen, I see my doctor I still go every 6 months to get my PSA done, because mine was so aggressive. I still every 6 months just to go get checked. And every time I go, if you look at my social media, you see the picture of them taking the blood. You see the picture of me in the doctor's office. I always end it with, hey, got my PSA checked. Men get checked. It can save your life. It saved mine. I always do it. And I've been doing it ever since. How long have you been
cancer-free, B? How long have you been cancer-free?
This is year 6.
Congratulations, brother.
This is year 6. Thank you. And it came back. Listen, it came back. And Doc will tell you this. I had surgery. I thought I was great. But he told me, as any good doctor would, every 3 months, I'm going to need you to come back here and get a PSA done, because mine was so aggressive. Because I don't want you to think that everything is great, because something could come back. He said, it's just like when you go to a war with somebody and you drop that bomb on a city, you think you've cleared it all out and you've killed everybody. But what about if there were some guys hiding in a bunker and they stayed in that bunker and they said, oh, you know, we're going to stay down here for maybe 6 months or a year until we know everything's cleared out. Now we're going to come back out. He said, that's what's going to happen. It could happen in your case. That's why I always need you to come back for checkups, just to make sure. And sure enough, it took maybe 2.5 years. But then all of a sudden, my PSAs were 0, 0. Then they started coming up a little bit. Point something this, point this to this, point da-da-da, point that. And he said, look, if we get to a number where it's getting a little bit close to like a whole number or point this, we may have to do some radiation, because that means there's maybe something that we didn't get that's still down there. And yes, I had to do 32 bouts of radiation, but it was direct on that area. And, you know, we did it. And since then, hey, look, I've been pumping out any zeros and 0.00, whatever. It's been great.
Can I ask a quick question? And I know, Cole, I'm sorry, because you probably will ask this question, and that's what you get when you hire a bunch of talkers to come on your panel. Oh, well. My question, because of what Brian just said, and maybe this question is more so for Dr. Hébert, you know, it sounds like a silent killer in many ways, right? It's almost like if you don't get a checkup, if you don't take care of yourself, or the checkup is truly it, right? Because I think if you take care of yourself, you don't take care of yourself, obviously it could still be there. Are there any symptoms?
Dolvett, it is prostate cancer. Doc will tell you this, because I'm gonna let him go. It's called the silent killer.
Oh, it is called, okay.
It's called the silent killer for the main reason. A lot of times you don't know you have it until
you don't know you have it. So there are no symptoms then? Are there any, my question was, are there any symptoms to say, oh, I feel like this, I feel like this?
I had nothing. I was
maybe a
great.
slow pee stream or something like that.
I was great. Now, there could be some guys who have some, when they go to use the bathroom, urinary issues. Let's say if you're 40 and you got to get up 3-4 times in the night to go use the bathroom, okay, you probably got something going on, or it's hard for you to urinate. Yeah, there's probably some issues there going on. But for me, I had nothing. There's nothing. And the only reason I knew I had it was because I got checked. And had I not gotten checked, I basically, as he talked about, again, I asked Doc, and he'll tell you this. I said, what would have happened had I not gotten a PSA check? He said,
you would be on this panel.
Thank you. That's number one. And he said, number two, you would have woken up with the worst back pain that you ever had in your life. So the kind of back pain where you would have probably, your wife needed to call 911 just to help to get you out of the bed. Because generally what happens with prostate cancer is the first place it travels is to your spine. And it goes up into your spine, and it's a wrap. Yeah. I mean, it's really a wrap. And so that's where you're trying to not get to that point. Listen, I have a cousin, I'm 49. I have a cousin who is 44 who is already there. Already, and knew I had it, and just waited till this past year to get checked, and it was already too late. And why? Because he had really bad back pain. And it was getting to the point where he said it was just crippling. Goes to the doctor, they found out he had prostate cancer, past stage 4, and it's already up through his spine.
Yeah, it's all everything that hurts Black people is a silent killer, damn near. It's just we
ignore it so much. They ignore it. I wanted to talk about
collard greens
and the preventative care, like the likelihood of the cancer reappearing if you had surgery or had some type of prostate therapy. What are some of the preventative measures? And this is to Dolvett and the doctor. First, doctor. Is there things that you can eat? Because I hear that lectin that's in tomatoes is really good to help with prostate. There's so many other real red, potent vegetables and fruits that have the lectin in it. But also, what other things that can help? Like we said, ejaculation is one. Proper dieting.
so there's a root called saw palmetto root. Saw palmetto. That's Metto. That is a really good thing that we use, sometimes even for treatment. We also want you to just do the things that anybody would tell you to do to be healthy. If you smoke, you need to stop. And that's weed, crack, or cigarettes, just to be clear, okay? You need to make sure that you don't drink as much alcohol. You need to make sure you eat a healthy diet. You know, I mean, all these things that are a healthy lifestyle. And I'm gonna tell you one that people really need to wrap their mind around. You need to decrease your stress. I mean, if you have a son that's in your house that trying to send through college, he keeps getting kicked out for weed and can't get his grades right, and then you and your wife fight.
That's a whole story. Damn.
He's got to go. Gotta go, dude. I mean,
but not only that, Doc, you also have to consider, you know, we're talking about diet, right? You have to consider hormones and foods and meats and things of this nature. People eating meat and eating a heavy red meat diet, you know, this carnivore diet, etc. You're putting those hormones into your body and they infect your entire system. So you have to consider how much water intake am I putting in my body daily, right? What are my vitamins, supplements, and trace minerals that I'm putting into my body to assist my function, right? What is my diet like? Am I eating processed foods? Am I eating a burger every single day? Am I going out and having a steak after that? If you're doing those things, does the chicken you eat have a lot of hormones in it? So meat to me is a trigger when it comes to my intestinal, my gut health, in addition to my prostate. So I think all of that is a function of concern. Two things come to mind. The first thing, because I just said that, when I'm talking to people about health and their issues, not their issues, but their personal development, I tell people, you know, it'd be a good thing. Let's just have one day we eat nothing but greens. So every Wednesday is a green day. You're going to raise your fiber, benefits of reducing your cholesterol, things of all these things of that nature. As we're having this conversation, something came to mind to create a Black Man Health Month. That it is, you know what I'm saying? So in the month of August, for example, it is required that all Black men, or it's trending, or it trends that all Black men go get a checkup. And it becomes now a thing. It becomes what this is trying to become, right? In regards, okay, what is the call of action? We realize it's bad for you. We realize there's stigmas. We realize all these other things. But I think the underbelly to this conversation is, I'm a brother, I'm good. I work out, I take care of myself. I don't need to do that, but actually you do. You 100% do. Had that health fair not been there, Brian may not be here.
That's right.
So to make that reality a reality, to make that reality our norm, perhaps this is something that we can spin off of from a habit perspective. My question then, now that I've said that, is, Cole or Dr. Hébert, where do we go? I'm here in Los Angeles. Where does one go to get a prostate checkup?
Okay, so a couple of things.
Oh, I messed Cole up. Cole had that question. It was in there, and I threw it. Man, I'm just I'm Cole. It's my fault.
Just really quick, just to sum it up, this is what this is for. And it really, for me to do it in a woman, and I don't have a prostate, is quite phenomenal, but I do have a skincare line for men. So this is what this is for, to get men to be active in prostate cancer, colon cancer, diabetes, any type of health and wellness as a whole. Because even when I take on people for skincare, I see what they're eating internally, because your skin is your largest organ. So I address it from that perspective as well. So that's how this prostate and colon and so forth. I'm proud of you going to get a colonic. Kudos, yay.
Thank you, Amanda.
So what I'm saying is that we have to look for, so everybody likes a social media challenge, do a self-check prostate challenge. This is supposed to be Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, but there's no marketing, there's no advertising, especially for Black men. This is not even a conversation. So I appreciate each and every, you guys really from getting on and being a part of this panel. It's very informative. This is some valuable information for everybody, me even as a woman, loving men. So I'll make sure I do my part in some aspect, you know, to encourage prostate exams, self-check exams, or anything, you know. And I would love to do, I hate that it's COVID, because the whole idea was to do this and to have a doctor and someone having some type of initiative to schedule an appointment, do prostate cancer checks. That's what this was supposed to be, but due to COVID.
Well, can I say this, Dolvett, Brian? I own a company called blackhealthtv.com. I'm on CNN. I'm on all over, bro. So if we can use this as a springboard, whatever you do, I can do. Whatever I can do, you can do. Because if we add water to the lake, all boats rise, and we have to do that. And we have to make it.
Say the name again. Say the name again.
blackhealthtv.com. So, but we need to do. We need to make sure that we get these things going. And right now, it's time. It's time. All of the big Fortune 500 companies, they're talking to me about what can we do. All this guilt, all this white guilt that they have, we need to put that to good use, because it's about to leave again if Trump wins. The black and white guilt's gonna be gone again. So what we need to do is capitalize on this now, because now, I mean, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, you just think about this. Matter, that is the least important thing on the face of the earth when you talk about how important somebody is. You just matter. And they're mad at us saying that we matter. God forbid the country would explode if we said Black lives are important. That's the new movement. The country shut down. So we need to capitalize on this. And a lot of companies are coming to us. We've got a lot more sponsorships for Black Health TV from this whole concept of Black Lives Matter. So let's push it. Now, if y'all with me, we can do it together.
I'm with you, bro. We're definitely gonna stay in touch because I think it's something important. That's why come Monday, I'm gonna document my experience.
Please do.
Doctor, I'll probably go to UCLA. It's probably closest to me. And I'm gonna encourage some of my friends to do the same. But I wanna say this. Cole, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for caring enough for us and about us to make sure that this conversation happens. I think this was amazing and supportive, and it's just an example of who you are as a human being, and I thank you for this, even though I gave you a lot of slack to even come on here and do this thing with you, but I'm glad I did. But that said, in many ways, I did it because it was you. Does that make sense? Because we've been friends for a long time, and I think that in itself is powerful. Let me explain to you exactly what I mean. If we can get more women supporting us men and telling us, nah, bro, go ahead and do that, we're gonna follow you anyway, right? As a brother, you know what I'm saying? Like we follow we just follow you. We follow, yo, do this, you know, because we want you. And if we want you and your language is as high as ours or even higher, brothers, get out there, make this happen. It's just as important as breast cancer. You have both men and women wearing pink supporting breast cancer, right? But only men are whispering about this. If we can have women support this and also elevate this conversely and see to it that us as men, our sons, our brothers, our husbands, the boyfriends, every category is the norm, that can additionally be supportive in huge ways.
I believe the first step is to be non-judgmental. I believe going back to Brian's first initiative about his friends and getting the finger, it's gay and so forth and so on, like basically taking like that part of it and that's stopping you from saving your own life. So the judgment of what that behind that, I don't know who told Black men that or why they believe that, and I believe because when you stick the finger up, y'all automatically ejaculate and so forth because it hits the prostate. I guess that's why, and they don't want to feel that sensation and so forth. But we talked about the preventative care of, and I will go back to, and then we're going to sum it up, where milking massages are very popular, but that's very intimate.
Hello.
Got him, boy. But you know,
I drink oat milk just so that I don't no dairy.
But the thing is that I mean, me being a woman and just really understanding the importance is just as important as breast cancer. And
100%.
you know, it's almost like one of the things when men start y'all losing y'all hair. You know what I mean? That kind of, y'all got to get used to that aspect.
Oh, here we go. I mean, it's all right. First of all, we got to talk about my prostate. Now we're going to go to the being us follically challenged. All right.
But no, remember that was a thing when men started, like when you started discovering that was something that you didn't feel confident about and it was embarrassing. And then the bald heads came about and it was back sexy, you know? So that's how cool that this movement can be, to make prostate cancer, prostate checks, awareness, not even cancer, we're going to take out cancer, prostate therapy and care, make it that much more cool. Like you can do challenges and call people out, or, you know, go to the, whatever it is, and just call folks out and say, let's do this. Like, you don't want to go visit your friend or your brother, your son or your uncle or anybody in the hospital with all this information that you guys have just given us and presented to us. It has to stop. Like you said, it has to start today, not tomorrow. You know, of course you schedule your appointments, but what are we going to do, and what does that preventative care look like, and what can we do as a whole and as a community to move this forward? I know that, like we mentioned, insurance, there's a lot of people not having insurance. Prostate exams are very expensive when you have when you're underinsured as well. So that's a fear. And sometimes if you don't reach a certain age, if you're on Medicaid or any type of state insurance, they don't cover that. So how do we, is there a fund? Because when it's breast cancer, mammograms can be sponsored. Is there a fund or some type of foundation that can initiate to start to donate for,
Great
and
question.
make funds available for that?
Honestly, they have a lot of foundations, but the foundations are not just about to pay for your prostate exam. They have free prostate screenings, and probably every month in your city, you just have to Google free prostate exams. And hopefully with that Donald Trump doesn't win, and hopefully we don't have to get this new Supreme Court justice, who is from New Orleans, by the way, because we're going to reverse the entire Affordable Care Act with this vote in November, which means all pre-existing illnesses not covered. Your children can't be on your insurance policy, not covered. If your mama is in a nursing home, not covered. All that stuff is going backwards. And so that's why this is so important. I don't care who the damn president is. I'm worried about the Supreme Court stuff, because in the final analysis, it all goes to that branch anyway. So what you have to do is, you may not have enough money, but right now, if you're on this Zoom, that means you have a phone, and that means you have internet on that phone. You may just not have to have a phone for a day. I mean, we have to get to the point now where we cannot say, well, I have to wait for somebody else to do this for me. You know, if you're homeless, there's a homeless clinic where you can get a free PSA. If your ass ain't homeless, you need to save up your money and go get the damn thing done. Because the thing is, we can't wait. You can't wait. And if you really don't have a lot of money, you need to apply for Obamacare, and you will have it. You know, Medicaid has been expanded in a lot of states, but you know, we've got to get this thing together where we have to say, by any means necessary, I got to get this test.
Was there an answer to where do we go here in Los Angeles? Does anyone know from the top of your head?
No.
Where do we go?
No.
Any doctor's office, any
Yeah.
federally qualified health center, any doctor's office, any nurse practitioner, physician assistant, anywhere. This is readily available. And right now, I bet if you Google right now, there's a prostate exam, free prostate screening in LA right now on a Sunday.
He's right. You can call your regular doctor. Your regular physician can give you a PSA. I mean, you just tell him you want it. That's all you have to do. You just have to tell him you want it. And there are a lot of organizations. I know, you know, my brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi, they're starting. Now we're seeing social.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Don't get political on me, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, man. I don't care, man. I'm just kidding, man.
Yeah. See, listen, I love Doc, but what you have to understand is sometimes we make wrong decisions. You see, remember how he was talking about there's some doctors who make wrong decisions. They tell you wrong stuff.
He's talking about himself.
He was basically telling y'all he made a wrong decision a long time ago when he went that route. You know what I mean? BC, real quick, BC, a lot of people don't have regular doctor physicians. A lot of people, you know, it's not norm, you know, right.
They don't,
yeah.
And that's the first issue, right? You're
right.
telling me just go to your doctor, but they don't have a doctor.
But as Doc just pointed out, you can just Google. All you got, you'll be amazed if you put free prostate exams.
What comes up?
In your city, what pops up, whether it's the Urban League, whether it's fraternities, whether it's your church. A lot of churches are doing it now. They're starting to get more active with this.
But I don't trust priests like that. I don't trust priests.
But this is the thing. This is, I think, where
Bad joke.
This is the thing. All the information is there, readily available. You want what you want, but for some reason we don't invest in ourselves, especially when it comes to health, if people can't physically see the difference. And that's where we're going internally with this. We do have a couple of questions that I want to mention before we wrap this up. We got about 5 more minutes.
Okay. I said, okay, let's get it.
So one person said, I love for you guys to talk, well, we talked about that. I love for you guys to talk about the reality that it is super awkward to get a rectal exam. We did that already. Is a blood test good enough for the prostate?
Yes. I mean, among other things, I would recommend get the blood test, which is the PSA. It's a finger stick. You get the blood test, and when the blood comes out, they put it in a little cassette, and then you have the results. You know, and there's a screen, but then there's also a machine now to give you the number too.
Okay.
So that's information we can put out there because I didn't know that. If there's a blood test, then probably more brothers would go versus.
Yes,
You know
the
what I mean?
blood test is actually, the blood test is the test that the American Cancer Society recommends. The
Right.
finger test, a lot of people aren't even saying that you need to do the finger test, but I'm telling you as a Black man, you need every damn test that you can get to screen, everything, because you just don't.
And why, doctor, the digital rectal exam is so important because yes, I had a regular PSA, but it wasn't really this in my exam, did the blood test. Then he said, let me give you digital rectal exam. And he felt a bump on my prostate.
Exactly.
That's when I knew even before I got the results, something going on. That's why that's important. You got to get the digital rectal exam too, because he can feel up there and feel a bump. He can feel, it's almost like, as Doc would tell you, it's like if you put your finger on sandpaper and it has that scratchy type of feeling, it's not smooth, then that can also give him a warning sign there's something going on.
Exactly.
This is very informative, guys. I really appreciate it.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on television.
And you've been through it, so you have the personal experience of what the process was. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So that's very enlightening for everybody, and just for all of us to hear and to actually go through that process with you and relive that. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Dolvett, love
Yes.
you guys. You guys, I had questions, but we went on. I think we covered the questions through the conversation. I love that it was more conversationalist versus like, you know, and I think we built something here. I feel like it's a part 2. I definitely want to continue the Black Men Matter Initiative Health Panel with colon cancer, mental health illnesses, diabetes, and so forth, and get right back and do the self-check for everything, your blood work, your prostate. I'm here with you guys. I just want everybody to be healthy and have a quality of life. And, you know, that's what this is about, especially as Black men. We need you guys. If we have to suit up and arm, we're gonna need the force, you know. So we're gonna need you to stay healthy.
Well, listen, the way this panel went, Cole, I think you're gonna be all right if Dr. Corey has anything to say about it. So
I got 5 on it.
You know, first, I just wanted to say, first of all, you know, thank all of y'all for being up on it, because I think, you know, we're going to help a lot of people. That's number one. You know, listen, I think, Dolvett, we also help Cole and Doc. I mean, I think we made a love connection that's come out of this panel. So there's that. Last but not least, I guess, you know, my final word, I'll just say this to be on a serious note. You know, the only reason why I do this, I don't ever want one of my brothers to have to go through what I went through. And I'll say it again. I don't ever want you to have a doctor look at you and tell you that, you know, you got cancer, you could die, you don't get surgery. You know, my boys at the time were 9, 8, and 3. And all I thought about was, will I see them get to high school? Will I see them get married? Will I even see grandchildren? And that was the worst pain emotionally I've ever felt in my life. It changed me as a person, and I don't ever want anyone to have that. So the reason why I do this, and I am so public with it, is because whenever we do a show, especially on Showtime Championship Boxing, a lot of times when we're done with the show, a lot of people want to come up, take pictures, talk to us when we get off the air. And we were doing a show in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. And we had our security guy said, Brian, there's a group of people over here who want to talk to you. I said, okay. I'm just assuming that they wanted to take pictures or what have you, as they usually do after the show. And I went over, and it was a family. And they said, hey, how you doing? First, can we take a picture? We took a picture. They said the reason why we wanted to take a picture was we were reading the Ring magazine, which is like the Bible magazine for boxing. And they said, we read about your story. And do you know that it was the first time that I took my husband to the doctor? They were in their 50s. It was the first time he had been to the doctor. It was the first time that my brother had been to the doctor. And both of them had prostate cancer when they went and got checked. And they said the only reason they knew it and got treated was because we read your story and we went to the doctor as a family. It was the first time in their lives. They were 52. The husband was 52, the brother was 50, that they had went to the doctor in their life, and they wouldn't have known that they had prostate cancer had they not gone and had they not read my story about that. And let me tell you, you talk about tears. I mean, I just cried because at that point, that's when I said, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. If you can help save one person's life, it's worth it.
Yes.
Telling your story helps give someone else the strength to find theirs in many ways. I built my entire career in life over helping people transform their body, transform their mind, transform their spirit. I've been an advocate in that perspective. This panel, though, has taught me to continue that. Me personally, I have a fear of heights, BC. Like, I'm scared, right?
Yeah.
But I've rappelled out of helicopters. I have a fear of swimming, and I rappelled out of a helicopter. Well, I jumped out of a helicopter into the ocean and swam. I've done things on purpose to challenge myself because I'm telling people, face your fears, go for what you know. I'd be a hypocrite to say, do those things, but I hold back what I know I'm afraid of. That's why I honestly and sincerely mean, come Monday, I will be making an appointment to take care of something that's, not only is it scary, but it's something to really be the best version of myself, and something as a Black man I should not ignore. You know, BC, I see you, I see myself. You're 40, at 42 years old, you found out, wait a second, this is an issue, I got to take care of it. And thank God, knock on wood, that you're here to tell your story and to affect the lives that you had. So that encourages me, that inspires me. And I hope that I can have that same effect in this category that you've had with, for example, with that couple.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Dr. Hébert, we appreciate you. Give us a closing statement and your personal experience and feeling, and what you want people to take away from this panel and encourage them to do.
Yeah, we have to stop being mediocre as people, as men. We have to challenge ourselves. We must realize, I'll give you, one of my favorite quotes. Benjamin Elijah May said, "Do your job so well so that no one living, no one dead, and no one yet to be born could ever do it better." You have to be the best man you can be all day, every day. And it's hard to do. But the reality is that means that spiritually you need to be in the right frame, mentally, emotionally, physically. All these things have to be have you in the right frame of mind so that you can actually be the best person. And you have to do this because you have to do this for your family. You have to do this for your society. You have to do this for your people, because we need you. We are already an endangered species. We cannot have more people dying because of fear. Yeah. We, as Black men, we invented everything. Math, science, social, everything. We invented language. We invented medicine. We are strong. We don't have to be scared. And we are the DNA of kings and queens, because if you made it across that water up in the Middle Passage, you can best believe your ancestor was hard as hell and wasn't scared of shit. Excuse my language. So remember is that's who you are. You can run from that all you want to, but that is who you are. Man up. Let's go get this done.
That's it.
That's
great.
Yay. Thank you guys again, panelists. This was so amazing. It turned out better than I ever could imagine. The chemistry between us four is amazing, and I just really appreciate each and every
Between the two.
right, exactly. Stop fronting,
Game recognized game, Dolvett.
Bruh,
game.
Bruh, listen, shoot your shot, player. Shoot your shot.
So, cold skincare for men, just me being a true advocate for men and Black men especially, with everything that I do, I'm always there, and just really wanted to expand it and just really see if we can start conversations beyond physical appearance, to really clean house internally and externally. And this is what this is about. So I really appreciate it. We had one concluding, somebody gave us kudos.